going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. Hope everybody's doing. Oh my God, I can't talk. Hope everybody's been doing well. That's the problem when doing stuff on a Monday. You never want to, but I always have fun doing this. It's just my brain catches up to me. So we're gonna be talking about another movie, an actual biopic, which I was like, I didn't know how it was gonna. Because biopics have been kind of hit and miss lately. Like, I like the Bob Dylan one. The Bruce Springsteen one was it was alright. So this one I was like, oh man, I hope it does well, just because who it's about. And before I get into that, if you guys haven't already done so, our spoiler-free review for End of Oak Street is up. So feel free to check on that if you're thinking about that movie at all. Get our thoughts and see what you think. But we're talking about a biopic on probably one of the most influential people in all of the culinary arts, and just had a very tragic death, I think, 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer at this point. And this is Tony, directed by Matt Johnson, starring Dominic Sessa, Antonio Banderas, Emilia Jones, and it's about it's loosely based on Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential, if I believe I'm saying that right, in which, it circles around, Tony, Anthony Bourdain when he was younger in college, and he works at a kitchen during a chaotic summer in Cape Town, I believe it's called, or Provincetown, I forget, I'm sorry. Cape Cod is where it's at, but this is a spoiler-free review, especially because this movie is not everywhere yet. It's very limited, but I would say, honestly, if you're a cinephile like myself and Burn, this is one you're going to want to go to the theater that has it playing and go check this out. So if you happen to like the movie, you love Anthony Bourdain, good food, and just tuning into the Bodacious Rant, feel free to share support with pressing the like button. And as always, ring the bell for notifications, and just tap subscribe for us to keep joining the ranks of our community. Let's start a movement in movies, just where we all just talk stupidly about movies and have fun with it. This one, like I said, Dominic Sessa, he's a growing actor within, some of my favorite movies with him recently are The Holdovers. He was also in the Now You See Me sequel earlier this year, and blanking on some other stuff. But he's getting up there. That's all I'm saying. And Antonio Banderas is always such a joy. There wasn't a whole lot of marketing behind this movie. I only saw the trailer maybe a handful of times in the last few months. But honestly, when I knew it was about Anthony Bourdain, I was like, I'm really excited, but I hope it doesn't butcher in any way. And honestly, I can't praise this movie. This is I can't praise it enough, is what I meant to say. Because this was actually a really well done film. I think it's definitely one of the stronger movies of the year for sure. But Bern, what did you think about this one? Did you have any real hype for it, or you're like, yeah, let's just go check this out kind of thing?
I mean, I can't say I really had that much hype, just because, like you said, the marketing just kind of snuck up on me, at least. I mean, I only saw the trailer for this movie maybe a month or two ago. It was very much not really like a long lead up. It was like, oh, what is this trailer? Oh, A24? Okay, that seems like it'll be cool. Oh, it's about Anthony Bourdain. Interesting. I didn't know they were making this movie. So it's kind of one of those that flew under the radar until right around release time, which is now. So there wasn't really much expectations coming in, other than I like Dominic Sessa. I like him a lot in The Holdovers. That was my favorite movie of the year that came out. So I was looking forward to seeing what he would do next. I didn't see the Now You See Me sequel or any of the other movies that he's done lately, but like you said, he's sort of a rising star. I think this is his second biggest thing that he's done in terms of he was a second lead in The Holdovers, and now he's the proper lead in this movie. So this is kind of the next big thing for him, I think. And I thought he handled it just about as well as he did with The Holdovers. I think he embodies the spirit of Anthony Bourdain, I think, pretty well here, and at least in this moment in time. And I'm glad that's what this movie chose to do. And what I prefer with my biopics, where it's let's take like a slice of this person's life, and we'll just tell the story within this range, and instead of like trying to encompass everything that they ever did in their career, and that feels like too bloated and not enough time to really delve into as a character. We're just kind of hitting a bunch of different beats, and that felt like it would have done a disservice to Anthony Bourdain and his illustrious career in both in culinary arts and the various like different media projects that he worked on that blew him up into the fame that we knew him later on in his life. So getting this sort of like origin story of him was a pretty interesting take, I think, and one that for me was a little bit unexpected coming into this, because I thought, okay, this is going to be like the origin story of Anthony Bourdain, the chef, right? Like, we're gonna see how he found his love for the the culinary arts, and him going through that process of mastering the becoming a great chef. And this really wasn't that. This was a little bit different, and I think I appreciate it the more I think about it. Where this is more so an origin story of how Anthony Bourdain became a better person, because the movie starts us at a time where he's this sort of like brash, young, and narcissistic kid. Like the phrase that you think about, that comes to mind with when you see like his character here is like, he has the unearned confidence of a mediocre white man.
He's a douche, Bernie. Let's just be honest. He's
I'm
a
trying
D-bag.
to put it nicely, but yeah, definitely, he's a total jerk in here. He's like very narcissistic and very arrogant, and it shows us that sort of shift, going away from that, like the sort of lessons that he has to learn throughout this summer in Provincetown, and learning how to be just a better man, basically, growing up, essentially, like coming of age. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And again, this wasn't the movie that I was expecting coming in, because I was expecting the chef origin story. But what we got was, I think, was a nice surprise, and I think a little bit more interesting, in the sense that we're not just hitting these certain beats. We're just kind of learning about this person, and seeing their journey as a character, as someone going from one point in their life of like being this like brash young kid to someone more mature, and someone who has a little bit more of an appreciation for the things around him.
Yeah, this honestly makes me want to read his book just to really get a more deep dive into that story. But I do agree. I think that the way they did this, I think it definitely captured it well. And the movie actually starts off with a quote that Anthony said, like, that he talked about himself. He's like, honestly, I was rude, I was narcissistic, I was entitled, I was a piece of shit, basically, and I needed a good kick in the ass. So Dominic Sessa channeled that perfectly, and of course the set design, the costume design, you feel like you're thrown back into the 70s with this story, which is always a great thing. And yeah, I honestly thought too that this was going to be like, maybe he started like cooking, got that passion, and it's like, no, that's really not the story at all. I don't want to spoil it for all of you unless you've read the book, for those of you who are really into him. But it was just a nice coming of age story about this brash young kid who kind of gets a wake-up call in life and kind of recalibrates himself. So can't speak enough for it. I've never seen anything else from this director, Matt Johnson. But I'm curious, anything else that comes up with his name, I'm definitely going to be interested in it, because I think he did a great job with this movie. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this one a hard 4 out of 5. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just a great story, a great character study of this, this amazing chef that started like very, ground up, and had to kind of grow his way as a human being, like Burns said. And yeah, it was just a nice little introspective story to really get you in the feels, and kind of ends the summer on in a good note, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just a delightful movie at the end of the day. Again, I think Dominic Sessa straddles that line of being, unlikable, but then also being someone who's, at moments very sincere, and you can understand where they're coming from. I think that's a very hard balance to have with this character who just keeps making so many mistakes that it just frustrates you, but that, their heart ultimately will be in the right place. So I think he does that performance really, really well. And Antonio Banderas, like you said, he's just great to watch on screen. He brings like a subtle warmth to this sort of like mentor character character that we get in this movie, and I think they both bounce off of each other really well. The rest of the cast is overall pretty fine. A fun performance from Stavros, an okay, underutilized, I'd say, performance from Amelia Jones. Not that she's bad in any way, but I think what they do with her character left me wanting a little bit more, and I guess wanting a little bit more from Anthony Bourdain's parents and those characters. I think there were certain elements that I felt that they were a little bit underutilized in sort of fleshing out him as a person and sort of informing us. I think we get subtle hints here and there, but I would have liked more. I mean, this movie is only like an hour and 40 something minutes, so I definitely think it could have been a little bit longer to sort of flesh those things out. But what we get here is sort of like a very light, breezy, again, introduction to him as a person, basically, and the person that he would end up becoming. So I think they handled all those elements fairly well. The music was a little bit hit or miss for me. There were certain moments with the score that I thought, really served the visuals really well. But then there were times, I don't know if it did the same for you, but I thought, oh, this feels like a little bit off-putting, like it sort of calls attention to itself. Instead of playing towards the scene. And I don't know, there was just certain moments for me where I was like, this kind of doesn't feel like right for the scene that we're in, but that could just be me nitpicking. But overall, I thought this was an enjoyable movie. Again, that you're gonna get a really solid biopic here, and one that I think serves the person really well. And I think for me this one's going to be a very strong 3 out of 5. Doesn't really quite get up to the 4 for me. Maybe upon rewatch I might like it more again, because I came in with the sort of wrong sort of expectations and thinking of what kind of movie it was going to be. But the movie it ended up being was one that I really enjoyed. So yeah, this is one I could easily recommend to anybody who's looking for a movie about this really interesting guy.
Yeah, 100%. The score, that is a good question. Can't really think of that one too much. Obviously there were some songs that were very tailored to the 70s and stuff at that time. Upon rewatch, I will definitely keep a lookout or keep an ear out for those, just to see man, what does burn mean? But I get what you're talking about, but I was like, I just can't think of what songs or what parts of the score really triggered that. But yeah, like we said, it's a very fun movie. It's quite enjoyable, delightful. I think it'll definitely be a great movie for when it gets to the holiday season too, because it's a very wholesome and heartwarming movie at the end of it. But yeah, 4 out of 5 from me, 3 out of 5 from Burn. For those of you who have seen it yet, or maybe you're looking forward to it, feel free to let us know what you think in the comments. Like I said, we're almost already over halfway through August, so summer's almost over, but we still got plenty of things to review. So don't forget to keep oh my god, I can't talk, thanks a lot, Mondays. Stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody, be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.